What up, guys? That Comic Awesome here, doing another review, doing Doomsday Clock number 4. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter complaining about this book, and I'm gonna say it was okay. It was good. It was good, but it wasn't. I had to wait for 2 months. Good. It was like I had to go back and kind of skim through issue 3 even to get caught up. And then I came, like, as I started reading this today, I pulled it out of, the sleeve, and I was looking at it, and then I realized 4 of 12. Now that we've switched to a bi-monthly release of this, that means it's going to take a year and a half for this event or arc to finish. That is painfully long for anything like that. It's going to take forever. That being said, it is clear that this was written and drawn with a lot of care, and a lot of care to the source material. Now, so far in issues 1, 2, and 3, and in 4, you get a lot. It's definitely been building heavily on the Watchmen side of things. There has been a few little crossovers and mentions of DC characters, but there have not been really any DC characters doing anything outside of last issue. Batman puts the Rorschach, Reggie, in Arkham. That's about it. What I do like is this now further explains who Reggie is and why he is dressed as Rorschach. And it fleshes out the character and makes you go, because I know a lot of people, and me included, I read the first issue, and you go, they brought back Rorschach and they made him, a diversity hire fill-in, and so you're like, what? Like, really? Come on. But then, issue 3 you get a little bit, and now in this you get pretty much his full backstory, and I go, why didn't you tell me this from the beginning? It makes so much sense now. It makes so much more sense of who this kid is and why he would be dressed as Rorschach. But yeah, so let's just jump in. And again, first off, the art and the writing is, it's top tier. It's up here. Pacing is okay. The pacing of this book is good. But I'm just worried about the pacing of the series, because the pacing, 12 issues every other month. So we got 8 more issues. So that's 16 more months until this book completes. So we're talking next, July? August? That's forever. Anyway, so Batman had put Reggie / new Rorschach in Arkham because he obviously just figured he was a crazy person, which, who wouldn't? So you kind of see him dealing with kind of life in Arkham, but then you kind of flash to him back in, his dimension, growing up. And what's neat about this too is you get like a little bit of a different camera angle on some of the events that were going on during Watchmen. Like the fact that Dr. Manhattan was involved in Vietnam and ending that conflict. Reggie's parents, specifically his dad, being a psychiatrist and published author, and it kind of flashes back to, and him being kind of socially awkward. The one thing I didn't like, there's this part here So his dad is the psychiatrist who interviews Rorschach in Watchmen. He's the psychiatrist there. So this is obviously taking place now during the events of Watchmen. He is going to interview him. But then, like, his college roommates are like, hey, isn't that your dad? And the girl's like, that's your dad? I mean, I don't understand, like, why she had to say it like such a dumb B word. Like, I mean, what's wrong with his dad? Like, that's your dad? Of course I'd have that same look too. I'd be like, what'd you say? Like, what? Like, yeah, that's my dad. Anyway, so then you kind of also get to see, again, the imagery, too, of the mosquito kind of flying into this, flying into the light, if you will, is a powerful metaphor for the rest of the book. But he, you kind of see him, this is him in Arkham. Things are kind of going sideways. Back in, this is now a flashback to where the world's kind of going to shit. His dad is interviewing Rorschach, but of course, Rorschach ends up escaping. But then after that happens, he is one of the people who is in Manhattan when Vidic's plan is fulfilled, when the monster comes. But he is not close enough to be one of the people that die. But because if you remember in Watchmen, and if you never read Watchmen, I'm so sorry, but at the end, a giant squid creature is teleported into Times Square and blows up everyone, I think, within a 3-mile radius, but then ripples throughout the world, and mainly in the surrounding areas, this telepathic, kind of psychotic vision of aliens and invasions and stuff like that. So he was one of the people that, lucky enough not to die, but was caught in that blast. And so he kind of has these flashes of, of every, craziness. Meanwhile, there's another psychiatrist here at Arkham, which kind of comes back around, that is trying to interview him. And he's like, why does Batman bring you here? Did you know Batman? Then it kind of flashes to like him stuck in his car, and you can see he's like frozen, as they try and rescue him. And then, he's dealing with like, crazy visions. It says that like women cut their babies out of themselves because they thought they were being eaten from the inside. A man cut off his legs because he thought he wanted to be like the creatures he was seeing in his visions. But then I liked this, and it took me probably about 2 or 3 pages after this to realize who this was. So he sees, he decides he's going to just kill himself, and he's going to jump off the roof of the asylum. And he goes up on the roof, and he sees this guy kind of just staring up at the moon. And he's like, I'm not going to jump, I'm flying. And so he's like, whatever you visualize up here, picture it up here. I see what I want to see. And when I want to see, well, then I'm off. And then so he just kind of flies away. So it took me until a couple pages later when, but this character is from the Watchmen series, but he's only in it for he's only mentioned in it. But again, I love the fact that he's here in this callback because he was, he's Mothman, but in the comics, in Watchmen, it is said that, Mothman went crazy and had to go to the insane asylum. Boom, here he is. The fact that came kind of another nice full circle was a nice little, just a nice little, nod to the fans, and they're like, there you go, good job. But you kind of get him, again, it's a slow burn of Reggie being in the asylum, learning about his dad and stuff like that. But then I love this. This is probably one of the best imageries in the book. You have, so Reggie decides he's going to escape. He sets fire. So him and Byron, who's Mothman, are are going to escaping. He's like, well, why are you stopping? And he turns back and he looks at the burning building. And he's like, Byron, he's like, it's been calling to me. I see it. What do you see? And he's like, what do you see? And he just kind of walks into the flame. Like, he opens up his wings and he like kind of like a moth to the flames. He kind of just opens up and he walks right in. It's kind of like filling a purpose. Now, he ends up finding, Byron leaves him some clues to find Vidic, but I want to skip to, again, the end, because he says, but what is light? You know, different for everyone, but everyone looking. See what you want to see, no matter how small or how big. So, again, it's just powerful imagery of like, you kind of see, you make the reality that you want, and everyone is searching for the good, like something good, the good. Yeah, I liked it. Again, I saw some people on Twitter who disagree with that, but yeah, I actually thought it was a pretty darn good book. I'm interested to see what the series is going to do, but come on, guys, every other month, ridiculous. But the quality stays the same. I will grit my teeth, and I will keep soldiering on. Subscribe over here, watch some more videos, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time.